Right. Well, as everyone knows, pretty much everyone knows already. It happened early on tonight, this evening. Uh, that France, of course, did not vote for Marine Le Pen, but for Macron, and so they voted for basically voted for a puppet. They voted for Francois Hollande 2.0, basically, and in good numbers as well. Even though it was second choice, and of course, barely anyone voted for him as the first choice. So yeah, no one really voted for him technically. Um, no, well that's rubbish, but you know what I mean. No one actually really wanted him as president. Yeah, you know what I mean. No one actually. The reason he won is just because they didn't want to be seen as racist and vote for Marine Le Pen, which just shows how cooked France is. France is cooked. They were always pretty cooked anyway, but this just shows how cooked they are, and I'm sure they'll come to regret this once some more disastrous things happen to France, once their economy goes to shit because because of Brexit, basically. Once we stop buying all French goods and all sorts, the French farmers will realize that maybe the EU isn't actually a good idea. Maybe it isn't actually protecting us from our economy going to shit. Maybe it isn't protecting our farms. Maybe if we did some deals with Britain, we'd actually get somewhere, you know. So yeah, they voted for a pro-EU former Rothschild banker who I was very confused because the BBC was saying almost in every time they were like, oh, he's establishment, but he's and then they were like saying he's not establishment, but he went to the most prestigious school in France, yeah, and he was a Rothschild banker, but he wasn't. He's not establishment, but he was new to politics, so they were kind of getting confused, being like, wait, is he establishment or isn't he? Yeah, of course he's establishment. He's pro-EU, former Rothschild banker, went to the best school, the best university in France. He's as establishment as he comes. He's had the establishment figures backing him up, like Hollande and the banks and Obama, who I guess Obama must be somewhat popular in France. Obviously he's more popular than your man Trump, obviously. As I say, although this doesn't matter. This isn't about Trump. We all knew how left wing France is, and I don't think France is ready to go to the right yet. They voted for a quote unquote centrist, which is it centrism? Center parties now are all left wing, really, when it comes to down to things. So yeah, I mean, it's disappointing, but National Front and Marine Le Pen will come back 2020, 5 years time, and given the inevitability that Macron will be a disaster on terms of pretty much everything on EU immigration, terrorism, security, the economy. Once all these things start going to shit, hopefully they'll wake up and realize that it was a bad idea. But I mean, they realized Hollande was a bad idea. But then you put this other guy, who's basically the same guy who Hollande has been backing up. You give them someone else with a different name, and they flock to that for some reason. even though they didn't really flock to that. The reason he won is just because he wasn't Marine Le Pen, and he wasn't so radical. Because Marine Le Pen was change, even though he's trying to say, "Oh, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to unite people." That just means nothing's going to change, really. And if it's going to change, it's going to change for the worse. Obviously, it's going to be like more immigration, more this, whatever. But I think France has a lot of problems, and I think this certainly isn't going to help France, and I think France is just going to continue to go down the path it's been going and continue to be unstable. And I would say avoid Paris, avoid the large cities, as and you're going to have more strikes. I mean, you've always had strikes and everything in France and whatever. They love a good strike. But yeah, so France is cooked. But I say it's not too disappointing. I would have liked it to be a bit closer, but I mean, I never thought it was gonna happen. This wasn't like a Brexit or a Trump where I never thought Brexit was gonna happen. But that we were lucky on that. At least we aren't cooked completely. Although I also might want to talk a little bit about in Britain what's going on with the Conservatives, and I'm also very disillusioned with that. I have to say I'm not that excited by what they are putting forward. And in fact, you've had Boris Johnson. I mean, I simply cannot see any reasonable way that I can vote for them based on Boris Johnson as a foreign secretary. Some of his ridiculous, just what he supports. He had a thing congratulating Macron here, and it's stupid. Why would he? I mean, yeah, this is related. Why would Boris Johnson congratulate a pro-EU person? Someone who's pro-EU, who's going to make it more difficult for Britain to carry out Brexit. He's going to make Brexit so much more difficult. If you had Marine Le Pen, she would have been in there. She would have been saying, "Oh, I'm with you, Britain. I want to get France out. I want to help Britain as well. We can form allies to stand up to the bureaucrats at the Brussels Parliament." But instead, you've got Macron, who's firmly in the hands of the Eurocrats in Brussels. So, I mean, fuck Boris Johnson. He's the biggest waste man of all time. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not sorry to say that. I mean, it's just using the word waste man more. He's a waste man, bare waste man. But that's pretty much it. And yeah, I might talk about, as I said, Tories, obviously Labour are a complete waste of space. But and UKIP, just without your man Nigel Farage, you just can't. They're just falling to bits, absolutely demolished at the local elections, as were Labour, to be fair, but no surprises there, was it? But actually, even though they should be doing better at local elections, so it's difficult because it's just going to be such a whitewash for the Tories that you need an alternate party. You need an actual right-wing party in England, in Britain, to vote for. And if UKIP are just gonna just bend over and like write this election off, which they almost have by doing so poorly at local elections, just makes you think there's no point in voting for them either. So, and you can't vote for any of the other ones really. So it's almost pointless, really. I'm not saying democracy is pointless. I'm just saying you need more choice. It's almost like America, where you only have two parties. But not quite. I almost wish we had a system like in Netherlands or some of the other countries where you have a party for pretty much every single aspect. So then at least there would be one that I agree with, and you say that it's not truly worth voting for them. But whatever. It's certainly not how I would like it, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. But I say it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. It's pretty much over, unless we have some kind of something happens from somewhere that no one sees, and yeah, they're gonna raise taxes. They're gonna do. Even the Tories aren't saying they're not gonna raise taxes. That's how bad it is, and because they need to, they think they need to raise money, and they're not going to keep triple lock for pensions, apparently. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things I'm not happy about with all this, but France is just the start of it. I would rather worry about my own country, but it's just a sign. It's not a sign of things to come, obviously, because we're leaving the EU. But I mean, it certainly doesn't help us in doing so. Macron winning, so that's basically my views on this. What do you think will happen to France? Is this the end of France? Probably. I would probably agree with you to some extent, and I think this is a good chance for Marine Le Pen at the next election, or what was it, a daughter or a niece or something is also in the party as well, so she could come through, take over maybe. But maybe that could be even further into the future. We'll not even get into that. But yeah.